Hello, my name's Jack and I'm going to talk to you about an Ethereum-based private funding and share management platform. I'll begin by discussing some of the problems which our product is seeking to address. Taking an investment and managing shareholders is currently not easy. Startups and small to medium-sized businesses are poorly served by traditional methods of gaining funding. Such companies often have very limited options. They struggle to get bank loans, particularly before they have revenue or collateral, and bank rates can be high. Venture capitalists, well, they're unsuitable for many, and the process of obtaining their funding is very complex and time-consuming. It requires good marketing and business expertise, which a lot of projects don't have before funding. Venture capitalists can make big demands and want control. This is fine for some companies, but there needs to be more options. Then there's private funding deals, where companies get investment from family or friends or wealthy individuals they know. But the ability to get such funding relies almost solely on having the right contacts. And often these kinds of deals are informal, which can lead to problems in the future when terms have to be formalized. If deals are formalized from the outset, young companies without the right expertise will have to outsource contracting and accounting needs, which takes time and it costs money. In essence, smaller and more regular investments are just not cost effective. Next, we have that small investors have limited access to non-listed companies. Opportunities to invest in startups are usually reserved for those who have either large sums of money to invest or the right contacts. Investing in startups is not like investing in stock exchange listed companies. There are no easy access points for the average person. Finally, blockchain technology has not yet lived up to its hype. Many have hailed it as a major disruptor in this area, but that disruption is yet to come. The biggest growth has come through the emergence of ICOs and DAOs, but these certainly have had their fair share of problems and are likely not even legal in many cases. They simply don't represent an option for normal entrepreneurs. The problem is that the extensive regulation of the financial industry means technology alone is not enough. Regulation in this area exists for a reason, and we think those trying to avoid it are in for some nasty surprises down the road. So, what do we aim to do? Well, we aim to make it easier for new and small businesses to grow. We're using smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain to provide our users with three main benefits. Firstly, we want to reduce the bureaucratic barriers for taking in new investment, so that small investments are practically effective, and companies have flexibility in the sort of ownership models they choose to implement. Secondly, we want to make it easier for companies to assign and track their ownership. No messy informal ownership deals, but clarity from the outset. Thirdly, we want to automate the shareholder management, allowing announcements to be made, dividends to be paid, and possibly in the future, votes to be initiated with ease. What we're aiming for in all these areas is to make the whole process of gaining funding and managing shareholders cheaper, faster, and more flexible. Within this, we don't want to just be for pioneers. We want to take the blockchain out of the realm of future technologies and bring it into the daily life of normal entrepreneurs. Our path to this will involve starting in Brazil with a fully compliant legal implementation. We will then tread carefully, expanding slowly with new legal plans in different countries. So, how does our product work? Well, I'll pass you on to our tech expert to explain that.
We have chosen to base our implementation on the Ethereum platform, using ERC20 tokens to represent company shares. Ethereum's smart contract functionality can help companies automate fundraising efforts by allowing for the creation of custom tokens to represent shares. Automated share issuance reduces administrative costs and time. Ether and ERC20 tokens can both be held and managed through a single account, and committing code to the Ethereum blockchain leverages the security provided by the network's proof-of-work algorithm. Our process starts with the creation and deployment of a smart contract to issue ERC20 tokens as company shares. The company chooses basic specifications for its digital shares, such as token name, token symbol, initial supply, and contract administrator. The contract's code is written to an address on the blockchain, where it can be viewed and executed by sending Ether. For different types of investors, verification can take place at various steps in the process. Pre-approved investors are eligible for automatic token distribution upon receipt of their payments. The use of third-party verification services allows an investor's identity to be linked with a digital account that can be reused for future share offerings and potential payouts. Then there are the different ways that shares can change hands in the system. Once the smart contract has been deployed, approved investors can exchange Ether for ERC20 tokens. In this initial sale of tokens, if the investor pays Ether directly to the contract address, the code is executed and the contract automatically adds the correct token amount to the investor's balance. If the investor pays fiat to the company's bank account, the company must keep a record and manually send the correct token amount to the investor's balance. If an investor is not approved for participation in the sale within a certain time frame, their payment is returned to the account it was sent from. The company can remain a liquidity provider if additional tokens are available after the initial crowd sale. Once shares are purchased from the company, they can be traded between investors like any other token on the network. As mentioned before, if tokens are transferred to an investor who has not undergone KYC AML approval, the investor must complete the verification process prior to token redemption. For dividends and recall payments to investors, funds in the form of Ether are added to the company contract address by the contract administrator in order to cover the cost of any dividends or other payments that can be claimed through token redemption or proof of ownership. A message is broadcast from the contract to token holders, indicating that payments are available and including instructions for claiming them. This is a native function of smart contracts, but secure communications can be conducted through other mechanisms, such as Ethereum's Whisper protocol. A response from the approved investor indicates their payment preferences. Cryptocurrency payouts can be triggered automatically based on this response. In the case of mergers, acquisitions, transfers, or sale of a company, new tokens must be issued in place of the existing ones, and a smart contract will be created with the new token parameters and ownership information. Ownership of the original contract is transferred to the new contract owner so that existing balance information and history can be accessed and preserved. New tokens are distributed proportionately to the investors through the same accounts registered with the previous contract. Approved investors do not need reapproval. The new contract owner can issue a self-destruct command to the initial contract to permanently disable execution of its
Are we issuing shares? Yes, of course. So we have to take a look at regulations. If we would do an IPO, which would be great, massive market, huge amount of money available, would be extremely regulated. If we raise capital from friends and family, there is no regulation, but that's not enough money. So equity crowdfunding seems promising, right? Let's take a look in Brazil. Brazil, the equity crowdfunding is kind of possible. Our local SEC is favorable to that, but they try to apply the IPO rules, even though under exemption. So only limitada companies, which is a type of LLC company here in Brazil, are allowed to take part. They can only raise up to 1 million reais, and they have to apply individually with the CVM. We are looking at another type of company, private companies or sociedades anônimas. These companies issue shares, and unlike the limited companies, there is a lower risk for investors to have the corporate veil pierced by judges, for instance. Okay? So how does this work? This works only if we transform the whole process of issuing shares and raising funds into a digital process. For that, we have to pay attention. We should not do, and we are not allowed to do, any public marketing of that. We are only allowed to offer these shares to investors that we know personally. We will not issue more than 49% of the shares in this way, because we don't have to have complications with voting so far, for now, right? This could be possible in the future. Those shares will be preferential shares, and all documents will be going to be signed digitally, preferably with blockchain private keys. Well, the investor applies to buy the shares and provides identification proof and the fund's provenance declarations for AML. The company checks this through a third-party provider. The investor pays up, the company issues the shares, the physical shares and tokens. The shares have to be annotated in the book of shares, which is a physical book that stays in the company's headquarters. And after the shareholder has signed digitally the subscription list with all the regulations how the investment is going to happen, the company transfers the shares, the tokens actually, to the address informed by the investor. This is a unique selling proposition. Now the shares are digital and can be traded easily between investors. So the initial investor who did the KYC can sell those shares onwards. This brings liquidity to the market and can make it easier for people to invest in startups because they can invest only the price of one share. Of course, we are pushing the regulatory envelopes here, and we believe this is this should be our mission here. We don't want just to apply technology to an old problem. We want to make it simpler if it makes sense. But we also need to be AML compliant. We want to offer a solution that is possibly usable now, and we don't want to wait for regulations to be changed until we can use the benefits that blockchain technology brings us. So the initial step is the first investor who buys shares, investor A, they will go through KYC. But after that, they have the digital tokens in their hands, which represent the shares. And those can be sold to investor B, investor C, investor D, and so on until an investor N, for instance. If the company decides to pay out dividends, or if the company is sold and the company has to distribute the sales, the money that has been gotten by the sales, they will notify the investor that holds the token at that moment through the software wallet, and that investor has then to go through KYC and MNL before getting the money, right? What we see growing from here, we would love to go into the equity crowdfunding market. There are new regulations coming up. They have good things and bad things about that. To be honest, we are not too positive about how this is going to be, but it is one possibility to grow our market considerably. Other ways to grow is to go to other countries, possibly European countries who also are under civil law, like Brazil, where regulations might be similar. But how big is the market and who is our target? Our targets are new, small, medium-sized businesses and individual and possibly some types of professional investors. The Brazilian equity crowdfunding market itself is still in its infancy. Only about 15 companies have raised something over 1 million euros so far, but VC and angel investing is growing quite quickly here, and there is space for everybody, right? And if we look at other countries and at the world itself, the market is huge.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm going to explain how we plan to monetize our idea and how we see our company developing into the future. Our primary revenue stream will be to charge companies both a monthly subscription fee and also a percentage of any money they generate from selling shares on the platform. We will have 4 different membership levels of bronze, silver, gold and platinum, and this will allow us to cater for a wide range of companies of different sizes and needs. Importantly, this model also allows us to offer the service to investors for free. We also have several potential secondary revenue streams, including value-added services such as escrow and dispute management, and also middleman services such as allowing professionals like accountants and lawyers to list themselves on our platform. A reputational system will allow companies on our platform to find professionals that they need and be confident that they are reliable and trustworthy. We have a 3-stage expansion plan, with the first stage being implementing our product in Brazil, allowing us to test and validate the product and grow our legal knowledge. The second stage will be to identify the most similar legal jurisdictions and expand into those, adapting our legal implementation where necessary and creating more localized communities. Finally, we'll link our communities together and become as close to global as regulation allows. There are many indirect competitors to what we're doing, and these companies do some of the things that we're doing and maybe some things that we're not doing. There are also several direct competitors that you can see listed, but none of those have successfully captured a significant section of the market. We believe that we are in this early enough to gain a large market share and have great success in the future. You've probably heard the fable of the tortoise and the hare, and we believe that it's key to be the tortoise in this industry. While we could launch globally from the start, we're almost certain to fall afoul of regulation somewhere in some country, and this could cause the collapse of our entire business. So, who is our team? On the business, marketing and legal side, we have Fernando, myself and Jack. We all have experiences with startups in multiple countries, and we think we can bring this experience into growing this business. On the technical side, we have Othman and Pranab, and they are responsible for the software development and smart contract development that we need for our platform to work. Furthermore, we plan to hire 2 more developers to help them speedily develop the platform. As you can see, we are a lean team and we work remotely, so our costs are low. Our core team can continue to work without a salary for the next 8 months, and we estimate that this will leave us with first-year expenses of €116,000, with revenues in the last few months of the year after our launch of €20,000 to €25,000. After that, we can scale well, and a small team will be able to sustain a large user base. We estimate an average yearly revenue per company we sign in the region of €2,500. This means that 1,000 companies would represent over €2 million in profit each year. While this seems a long way off, with the size of the market, we believe that this is an achievable aim. That's it. So thank you very much for watching our presentation, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us.